Hey people, I'm gonna hit this old Egyptian cat some more so I can get all these tabs closed out, and then I'll try to get over here to this Gabriel the two times it comes up in the Bible and Luke. I'm gonna read that and give us a whole lot better idea what that means. So you had at least two different cats in Egypt. One of them was Meow, and I believe that's this cat over here underneath your chair licking its ass. And one of them was Pishu, and this one they're trying to hide. You can see how these two cats here have the same pose. Only thing missing is the knife and the serpent. But this is Pishu, I believe. And I found it long ago, maybe about 7-8 years ago. It wasn't hard to find the word Pishu, meaning cat, but they're totally trying to wipe it out. They don't want people to know. But that's what my daddy would call the cat when I was a kid, was the Pishu. And my mom was French, she would call them Menu and Matu. They'll say the Egyptian word for the cat is meow, meow, meow. It's easy to see that that's an Adam word. That was one of the first words. It's homoeotopic. And that's from when language was first being created. And later when they learned how to tease the letter meanings, the word for cat changed. And I believe that's where you get your word move at. You can see it here in the Russian, and it's Pishu, the cat, the house of thy Pishu, the house of thy cat, the house of your cat. And they'll just say that it comes from the river. They won't define this word. All they know, it referred to the family that ruled over the valley. And like I told you before, Pishu, they say, was the king of Babylon. But I search all versions of the word now, and I can't find anything to come up. You can find it come up close here in Romanian to call the cat the pis and oi or a how, pisu, a kitten or a tomcat. You can see it here in the Romanian. You know, the pisu is the kitty, P-I-S-U. Pisu pisu is kitty kitty. And so it's the same place where puss comes from. And you see it in this word for the work of the augury, the auspice. And backwards it's sek e pishu. It means to cut, make the cat. The cat makes the cut. You're coming from the Latin, to cut. The sek, to cut, make pishu, the cat of species. You know, sesi is to cut, to chop, to chip, to hew. But I found it years ago in a 600-year-old book where a Frenchman was in Africa and he was drawing pictures of the wildlife and writing about them in French and labeling them. And he called the first cat the Pishu. And you see him here on this parable of Narmer. You know, on top says it's a parable. And this is Pishu. And this is the old Greek word for the one that's behind you. You know, the one that stands behind you. He's going to hold up with you. You see he's not holding the shoes here. They just balanced here on his wrist. And so if you put your elbow against the wall and you put your hand up, that distance between your elbow and your wrist will be 12 inches. And it's where your word ruler come from. And so in Greek, Pishu got a couple different names, but one of them is a cubit, as in a ruler, a 12 inches, a ruler. A cubit is a Pishu, but it also means the man who stands behind you. So the reason they're trying to hide all this is because right here, you know, what Pishu do, what the cat did. Oh, it's false. It's everything has to do with su in the Greek. They're going to say it means false, not genuine. You know, it's where your word sudi comes from, studios. But if we look at the rest of this word, see what the graph means, and give us a better idea of what Pishu means. So if we look for words containing epigraph, you know, there's only two words that come up. You know, you got the pseudo-epigraphs and the epigraphs. Everything else is connected to that. So an epigraph is an inscription on a building or a statue, or a quotation at the beginning of a book or a chapter. So if you've been watching my stuff, you know what I think about epigraphs. And so I am an epigrapher. Epigraphy is the study of the inscriptions, and I am the studier. But they'll tell you that pseudepigraphy is the false ascription on a piece of writing or to an author. But you got a double negative here. If pseudo is a negative, a false, fig is also a false. It was false from the get-go. It was always, the fig, graph make. And you have to look at that word in different ways on the bottom of statues. This is the epigraphy. And they never write the name the same twice. And so it already had to be graphed in order to figure out what it meant from the get-go. And so, the cat defigured. You defigure. You had to figure it up. Pishu had defigured. And if you've been keeping up with my stuff, that the cat had defigured a pop. This is just a Q and a U is what you're looking at here. A Q U Q. Apop. The Pishu defigured Apep. Pishu defigured Apopis. Apep goes by a bunch of names for that reason. Pep, Peppy, Apophis, Apophis. Sometimes it's just the PPY, puppy. Sometimes it's the QOQ. The Apophis, the Fafa. And so the name changes all the time, and the cat changes too. But you can see, that he has the writings underneath. Apophis is the figraphy. And so, Pishu defigraphied it. The cat figured it out. He had to trim some off. What you're looking at here is set, and he is setting epigraphy. And so at the end of the day, when you went to write up in the diary, your scribe was to set epigraphy. And he had to find amusing and easy ways to write the day. So they'll explain this as the sun god Ra in the form of a great cat slays Apep. No, I don't see the sun god Ra. All I see is Pishu. But it says here, that Egyptian gods had power to transform themselves into animals, but only one, Bastet, had the power to become a cat. The Mono Onamo, the one name of the cat, Bastet. So you just cut all this off the front. You just read this: great cat slays a pep. Pisu de figure afi. Pisu de figraphy. And that's why they're trying to erase the P in those words, because they're trying to hide this. But yeah, there's a lot more tell in here. And so this first cat, this is the pro-aloris. And aloris is the Greek word for the cat. Bastet was also known as aloris to the Greeks, the cat. So pro-aloris would be for aloris. They say pro is the first, but it's for. If you're pro for something, you're for something. For, before, and it's for aloris, to aloris, of Le Mans, the Le Mans cat. And so Le Mans, that's the word for the cat in the book of Psalms in Hebrew. And the cat was the chief musician, was Le Mans, the cat. Le Mans from somewhere, Mazummer from somewhere, leaded, somewhere he wrote. I read this off the wall somewhere where Le Mans had left it. Le Mans from somewhere, leaded. And so Le Mans means, the first cat, the pro-aloris. The head, the top cat, the first one, the top cat, the chief musician. The cat is a word used for a musician that knows it all. And so the chief musician probably come from, when this cat growled, everybody shut up. He was the chief musician. He was out there in the jungle listening to the music. And when this went off, everybody else stopped. And then between these two, 20 million years ago and 11 million years ago, in between them the two, you had the turn of in is. And so this first word here that ends with the US, this is the family. So you have three different words, for cat here. You have the meow cat and the Pichu cat and the Aloris cat, us, our family is us. And then these is, this is the type, the family, and the genus is the is. The chief musician is. And the turn of in is. So this is the Pichu, and this is the cat Decelerus. The cat Decelerus. The cat got smaller. It decelled. This is where your house cats come from. Cat Decelerus to got smaller. The turn of in is. And you see the cat over here, but this is the genus. It comes from the family of the meow cat. And so this is the cat of Macharotus. We have Machare teeth. We have Machare, and this might even be one. In Greek, Mia is the first day. The one machete tooth, Macharotus, meaning he's got, one longer tooth. And it's the cat decel, so it's not the whole cat decels, it's the cat decels the roids. Cat decel wear roids, and roids means flexibility. And so this is the cat that lost flexibility. Meow Macharatus, Pichu deceleroids, and Pichu decelerus turnavensis, and Foraloris lamansis. So what this is saying is, well, he's setting epigraphy. You know how when I read the Greek and the Hebrew, I go back and forth and I read them words, because when he set the epigraphy, he folded it all up, and sometimes 3 letters turn into 9 letters, depending on the markings. He's got all that epigraphy folded up because he's having to chip this in rocks back in the day, He doesn't have unlimited supply of paper at Office Depot. So, he's not trying to kill the snake. He's got that stick, and he's trying to bunch that snake all up together. He's trying to layer that epigraphy so he can get a lot more out of them little bit of letters. And so the crap story that the Egyptologists are reading, they're not figuring out these raps. They're not getting it. And you see it here, to what share it arch to. What share? This is the share. You see in the Hebrew ARX, and this is a shear for plowing the field. So it reads forward and backwards. What share it arch? What shares it top to? And then Pichu went and fucked everything up, and that's why every time you see the PSU in the Hebrew and the Greek, they'll say it's false and evil and lies. Now let me get on to Gabriel. I left Gabriel hanging on that last movie, thinking that Gabriel meant a big old flaming Hollywood hopping, lily popping freakazoid. So let me finish reading that in the Greek. The artist over the years pictured him just flaming homo, dressing like a peacock, with pimp feathers all hanging out his hat. A feather in your hat, that means corruptible. When Yankee Doodle put a feather in his hat before he went to town, it meant he was going to get corrupted. And that Hebrew word for corrupted, is all shit. You shit, bash it, destroyed it, mash it. Remember the lion with the machete teeth to mash it and hash it is all corrupted and destroys. Everything with the shit in it is destroys. Mash it. And it's a lot of words. So the first time Gabriel comes up, there's no markings in it, so it just reads straight through. And it tells why that the way they picture Gabriel. And it just comes after this word, the Jimmy, the day. Either way it's read. And so it means give rile. And rile is royal. If you was to catch a girl in the hall between class change, and give her a little frisking, give her a little rile, give her the royal treatment. And that's what it means. It means to give rile. And so give rile is when a peacock throws them feathers out there, ruffle them up, give them a rile. When you play rough with your dog, you rile. So this reads two different ways. I'm just going to read it straight through the first time, and I'll go back and read it with the directional markings. But it's and Hippocrates of haggle, as they pen what to ego, the day gave rile of farsticos. Hippocrates is like a hypocrisy, the practice of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs which one's own behavior does not conform pretense. But the th in there, the ith, puts you at a third person, and it means talking about somebody else's hypocrisy, pointing at somebody else, And Hippocrates of haggle as, haggle, to argue about, the haggle as. And Hippocrates of haggle as they pen, as they write, of to ego, the day that Jimmy gave rile. To the ego that the day gave rile. And so gave rile isn't your birthday. It's the day the semen's planted. It's gave rile. The day gave rile. And I believe this Gabriel replaces this to rue, and rue into awaken. It's on the second line of Genesis. When everything was formless, and that was to rue, to awaken it up, give it a rile. And of farstic as. A farce is an absurd event, a comic, dramatic work using buffoonery and horseplay, improbable situations, a farce. Finger pointing of hagglers. They write what to the ego the day gave rile of farsticos, the bad comedy, the day they rue. In a peon to the of, in a peon to the of, to you, to honorable you, to the of. And a festal in Lola say, to speak like Lola, and done fest all up, fest all in Lola say. And then this is proxy, prosy, as in the authority to represent someone else. But it's just making fun of the words, a proxy to, the of proxy to represent someone else, of the Lola. And fest all on, done fest up, the Lola on say, proxy to, the evangelize as they. And so evangelize, that's what them preachers do on television. They evangelize. Back in the day, they used to get in tents and travel. The evangelist, the proxy to evangelize, they is say, so it of to, so it of to you these, to you these things, so it of to, to is the you part. And the so it is what it just talked about. And so it to you is, to sow. It's yours. This, you fit this. And so Gabriel is nothing but a word that means to awaken, to rue, to give rile. So this is all putting a name onto him up to this, the farstic O's, those type of people. And it's to the finger pointing Hippocrates, to the finger pointing of haggle as they write. They write of to the ego the day gave rile, the day they gave their ego a rile of farsticos. And it's to you type of people I'm talking. And so, to write about the day that your ego gave rile, you gave your ego a rile, to wake up your ego with a farsticos, with a bad story, with a bad comedy, in a peon to stand here before you as a peon in front of the something you tell the king or somebody that could have you beheaded if you pissed him off. That's the way you would address somebody. The yourself, your honor. And to festall in, a festall, and he's making fun of a festal as in a virgin, and a festal as in obligated, living on somebody else's land and having obligations for it. And confesstal. And a festal in Lola's say, the pro se, that's prosy is prostitute in English. The prosy to evangelize, the prostitute evangelist. So it of too. This is you. So it's got another meaning when you read it with all the marks. It reads backwards. But my computer's getting kind of full here. So I'll read it with the directional markers in the next movie. And I'll come read this. And this one's real easy to read too. And it still means the same thing. But now it's of the hagglers give rile.
Don't forget. I won't forget.
Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.